All right, fine. I think I will slowly start the session and let everyone else join. Okay, just to inform you, this session is being recorded and you will get the recording as well in the same group that you had been interacting, the group for grassroots education on the platform. I sent you a common chat, right? So you will get the recording there and it will be added on YouTube as well. Okay, so Shiva, have you seen me earlier? Have you attended my classes earlier? Have you taken our courses earlier? Can you just give me a quick, uh, okay, okay, that's right. So you have taken our classes in 2020. All right. I'm not sure why I don't remember you. Anyway, fine. So that's just, you know about us. You have been taking our classes. All right. Oh, okay. Sorry to know. And I hope that you are doing fine now. Okay. So this class is going to be very crisp. I'm going to keep it extremely short, right? This is going to be the agenda. I will talk about what the format of the writing test is. I will talk about what questions you may be asked in task 2, and then about essay structuring, band descriptors, and then I will take questions from you. And I also want to talk about my fast track program. Okay, so just a quick check. How much do you know about the writing section? Do you know the basics? How is it? Do you know the basics of the writing section? Okay, so you have given your test twice, which means you will know the format as such. I don't think I need to tell you about what the format is, right? So in the task 2 area, remember that you are asked to write at least 250 words. The more, the better. Task 1 is 150 words. You know the format, and it is an essay. It requires you to write in paragraphs. There has to be a clear-cut introduction, a conclusion, and at least a couple of body paragraphs, right? The most important thing that you need to know as a student is that in an IELTS writing essay, what they see or what they want to see is your viewpoint, what your opinion is, your way of comparing the views. Sometimes there may be comparisons that are made in the question. They may want to see that as to how you make those comparisons, your way of discussing and elaborating a certain viewpoint that's given in the question already, and they're seeing how you are able to elaborate that, and then your ability to provide solutions to a certain problem. This is what they want to see. And these are the 4 major requirements that an IELTS writing task 2 question may have. Okay, so remember to categorize the requirements among the 4 points that you see here. Whenever you see a task 2 questions, think about what they want you to do. Do they want your viewpoint? Do they want to compare do they want you to compare a certain view with another? Do they want you to discuss or elaborate a view, or do they want you to provide solutions? This is something that you have to do. Now, the next thing that you need to remember, if you have given your test twice, can I please know your scores? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So clearly, writing is your problem. Remember that you could have gone wrong in any of these areas that I have mentioned. It's very easy to judge because I have seen a lot of essays. It's either the structure, it's sometimes the sentences or the words that you use. Like I said, informal language, it could be proverbial, something that's too preachy, something that looks very creative, memorized from somewhere else. And sometimes you write things that are not required and you don't really put forth your idea in the way you should be doing it. These are problems associated with writing an essay, and it's not because you don't know how to structure an essay. It's just that when you write sentences, you lose the flow, and that's when you lose your score as well. Apart from this, problems can arise because of grammar and vocabulary too. Now, if your grammar is weak, If you feel that there are areas in grammar that you are not sure of, you may have made mistakes in, that means that also needs to be taken care of. It may not be a major point of concern considering your other sections, but it is still a problem area. I mean, you still have to work on your grammar, especially in the areas of commas, in the areas of articles, sometimes passive voice, sentence structuring. These are most common errors that students make, and you may also be making them apart from the ones that are listed here. So the aim of this session is to in some kind solve those problems for you by telling exactly how you should structure your essays. And I will also talk about the different essay types that we have. And you know how the questions look like. Sometimes, as I said, it is an opinion essay, as in the question may be asking you whether you agree or disagree to a certain viewpoint. The question may be asking you to compare advantages and disadvantages, and also asking you whether advantages outweigh the disadvantages. It may also be asking you to give a solution and a reason to a certain problem. Discussion essays ask you to elaborate a viewpoint from a neutral standpoint and then also give your opinion. Direct question essays don't really fall under any of these categories. They're typically discussion essays, like they're typically that, and then, of course, elaborating on the answer. But the general guideline is to always give a clear-cut idea in your introduction. That's very important. Whatever I'm about to tell you is very important. Whatever essay type that you saw here requires you to give a clear-cut answer in the introduction. Okay. And after that, whatever your main ideas are, you are supposed to elaborate them clearly in your body paragraph. And then whatever your ideas are there in the body paragraphs should be there in the conclusion, right? So this is how the essay structuring should happen in general. But how exactly should you be doing that specifically for each of these essay types that I talked about is this. Now we have two more people. I might have to interrupt a bit. Okay, Tavinder will not be able to hear me. So welcome Vasu, welcome Tavinder, welcome to the class. I'm just going to continue where I left. So let's quickly look at the different essay types and let's understand how you're going to be structuring them. Okay, and after that, I will talk about how you are scored, right? So I'm going to give you only examples like this. I'm not going to show you samples. I am only going to tell you. That's great. So I'm only going to tell you how you will structure these answers and you will participate on the chat. All right, all the three of you. Great. So give me a quick yes if you guys are clear with the basics, as in there is no problem with the format, with how an essay looks like. You don't have a problem there. Just give me a quick yes if everything is fine on the basics front. Okay, wonderful. Tavinder. Shiva, I know he knows the basics. He's been in the class for a while. Vasu, what about you? Do you know the basics of writing an essay? Because what I'm going to tell is complicated, requires you to understand the basic. Yeah, Shiva and Vasu, quickly respond to me. Okay, wonderful. Vasu, I'm sure you're able to hear me, but I need your response before I move on. Anyway, let's move on. So now that you're clear about how the writing test looks like, how an essay looks like, how an essay should be written, let me quickly ask you these questions. Okay, let me give you examples of these questions. And here is when I will go a little slow. Right now, I'll be a little slow. Until now, I've been really fast about explaining the basics. So when you get an agree or disagree question, The question gives you a certain statement. Students today are spending a lot of time on their mobile phones and it is affecting their health adversely. Students today are spending a lot of time on their mobile phones and it is adversely affecting their health. Okay. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Sometimes the question simply asks you, do you agree or disagree? Okay. Either it's just asking you your viewpoint. Now, in this case, if there is a question that asks you to agree or disagree, please stick to one side. Okay. And make that clear in the introduction. There is no other way, no other, I mean, that's the best way of writing this answer. Okay. Is that clear? First thing that you need to keep in mind, always remember when you have agree or disagree, introduction needs to have that opinion clearly. Is this clear? Yes. On the basis of this, I will have to tell you the other types and the other paragraphs. Yes, very quickly. Okay. Introduction needs to have the opinion. That's the first thing. Okay, Vasu is clear, Tavinder is clear. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Good. Introduction needs to have the opinion. Next, what you need to think is why you agree or why you disagree, not both. Why you have that viewpoint is something that you need to think about. Okay, and think about two reasons for having that opinion and put those two reasons in each of the body paragraphs. That's what I've mentioned here. Okay, quickly, let's rewind, agree and disagree. Let's move on to the next essay after this. You have to make sure that the opinion is clear in the introduction. And then you have to think about what reasons, why you actually believe in that. Let's take the example of the question that we have. Students spend a lot of time, it adversely affects their health. I completely agree. That's my introduction. Two reasons why it affects their posture. It affects their posture and kind of gives back issues later. It does adversely affect their health. Spending a lot of their mobile phone on their mobile phone can affect their communication ability because they're not really spending time with anyone else apart from their mobile phone. Two reasons. I am putting that in my two separate body paragraphs. And it does not end there. It does not end as to whether you think of two reasons and you're putting that in your two body paragraphs. It does not end there. You have to elaborate those two reasons. So when I say students have health issues, I'm saying posture issue, I'm saying communication problems. These are the two reasons why students develop health issues. I might have to substantiate that. I might have to elaborate that with explanations and examples. Okay. Now remember, here is where the deal is. It is not about giving those reasons. It's about elaborating those reasons. Now, how do you elaborate these reasons? Think about the best example. Maybe it could be your classmates. It could be generally people getting treated for back issues today. It could be generally people having arrogance or issues with communication because they're spending too much time on their mobile phones. These are some situational examples that elaborate your reasons. Don't give examples such as Harvard University conducted that research or this person conducted that research. Don't give such examples. So did you get this? Did you understand this now? I'm just going to rewind for the benefit of everyone who joined late. In the introduction, you are going to have your opinion very clear. I'm talking about the first type of essay. And then you're going to think of two reasons why that's the case. Why do you believe in your opinion? You're going to elaborate those two reasons very clearly. And the conclusion will have those two reasons only. Is this clear? No problems at all? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Arup, Gurleen, Shiva, and Vasu. Are you guys clear? Okay, very good. Okay, great. So now, what is this thing that I've written here? Why do I say that you have to agree to one side, but why did I say that you have to also include the other side? Let's rewind back to the question. Remember, I said to what extent do you agree or disagree? Remember, I said that? Yeah, that's the question. Now, this means that you either completely agree, you either largely agree, you agree to a large extent that using mobile phones causes health issues. Okay. But there is a side to the question that you need to address. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Now, if you're completely agreeing, there is a portion that you may be disagreeing to, or the question wants you to disagree to that side of the opinion and say why you completely agree. So while you put forth your argument, saying back issues or communication problems, you might also have to say why you could have disagreed, but you didn't. You might have to say this, that it does help students connect with a lot of people online, but still there is no improvement in their communication skill because they're not talking to people face to face. Okay. Or you can maybe say in the first reason that there is a lot of information that is available on the internet and they get a lot of things done through their mobile phones, but unfortunately it affects their posture. So that is what I mean by other side of the opinion, and this is only true for to what extent do you agree or disagree. So you have to put forth that side and say why you may actually disagree, but even when you see a benefit of that problem, you largely think that it is a huge problem. That's what is agree or disagree essay. That's why it's too complicated to write a balanced answer, saying you partially agree, you partially disagree. Did you get this now? Did I solve the whole confusion about agree and disagree essays? Yes. Yeah. Okay, good. This is very important. Whatever I said now is actually the most important for this essay type. People lose their score because of this. Okay. Okay, moving ahead. The class is about to get very complicated. Moving ahead to advantage outweighing disadvantage essay. These questions look like this. Students today use a lot of mobile phones. There are clearly added benefits of using mobile phones, but there are some disadvantages. Do you think the advantages of using a mobile phone outweigh the disadvantages? Okay, that's the question. Do you think using using mobile phones do you think the advantages of using a mobile phone outweigh the disadvantages? That's the question here. Now, this is also, if you think about it, this is also a kind of opinion essay, right? So please remember, whatever I said here applies. In your introduction, you are going to include whether advantages outweigh disadvantages. It is going to be extremely clear. You're going to make it extremely clear by saying, I think that advantages outweigh the disadvantages. I think I completely agree. This has to be there, whatever you write or no. Okay, so the introduction is sorted. Now, what do you do in your body paragraphs? Remember, you can do two things here. Okay, two things here in your body paragraphs. Now, its advantages outweighing disadvantages. Think of it like a balance, like a weighing balance that you see, that you used to see when you buy vegetables. Okay, think about it that way. The person puts the weight here and it goes down when it exceeds the weight of the vegetables, right? Think about it that way. Just imagine that balance now. Yeah. So you can either do this, that you write more benefits or more drawbacks, but you have to write more than two. At least two have to be there. So you write two in one and three in the other and say they outweigh each other. That is one way of doing it. Or you do this, you write 2 benefits, you write 2 drawbacks, and say why still one is significant than the other. Okay, so you might be saying information available readily, you might be saying connection with millions of people, or connection with celebrities. Okay, that's an advantage. You might be saying these 2 as your benefits. And with drawbacks, again, you might be saying back issues, and you might be saying communication issues, right? So you might write these 2 drawbacks and these 2 benefits, and you can then think whether you support the side of advantages and support the side of disadvantages. If you support the side of disadvantages, just say that, listen, there are benefits, but these drawbacks are more important to me. Or if you support the side of benefits, you can maybe say that, listen, there are drawbacks, but the benefits are, going to be even more significant. It's going to have a long lasting benefit than the drawbacks. The drawbacks are just small issues that you can address. So this thing you need to do in the conclusion, telling why benefits are less or why the drawbacks are not so significant, you should be doing in the conclusion. Is that clear? Is that clear now to all of you? Quick roundup again. Introduction should have the opinion very clearly. Body paragraphs, there should be 2 indicating benefits and drawbacks. And the conclusion should tell why the benefits outweigh the drawbacks or vice versa. That's what you need to do. Is everyone else clear? Tavinder, unfortunately, my Hindi is bad and you're writing an English language test. You may as well put that effort in learning the language. It is not going to be difficult for you. Okay, right? Yeah. Everyone else is clear? Gurleen, Arup, Vasu, is that I just put these things in the simplest way possible for you to understand. Yeah. Gurleen, are you there? Arup, are you there? Vasu, are you there? Yes. Good. Remember, this is writing class, so it will be a little complicated. It will be a little intensive. Moving ahead to the next type of essay. It's pretty simple, not as complicated as the ones we discussed. Positive or negative development. Okay, this is easy. This is like the earlier one, agree or disagree. Do you think this is a positive or a negative development? Now, the question can go like this, saying, students use a lot of mobile phones today. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Is this a positive or a negative development? Now, you may have only one answer here. You can't have both answers, obviously. So just stick to one side of it and say why. Same thing that I said here. Why is it a positive development? And second reason why it is a positive development. That's it. Why is it a negative development? Second reason why it is a negative development. But what is common here? What will you do in your introduction? Can you tell me? You have listened to me talk for half an hour. Can you tell me what will you do in the introduction here? In this type, when it's positive, when they ask you, do you think it is a positive or a negative development? What will you do? Quickly. Good. Very good, Gurleen. And it has to be clear cut. Yes. More answers. And you know how I like participation in the class, so please respond. Okay. No one else. You have to give your opinion in the introduction here as well. It has to be clear. It has to be stated very, very, very clearly. All right. So these are the 3 different kinds of opinion essays. There is one more kind that I'm going to talk about. Okay. Yes, Gurleen, I talked about that in the initial portion of the session. It's okay if you missed it, you will get the recording. And I am going to talk about the band descriptors after this. So hopefully this concern will be addressed at that time. Yeah. Let's move ahead to the next essay type. discuss both views and give your own opinion. Now, this is very different from advantages outweighing disadvantages. Discuss both views and give your own opinion means that the question itself gives you two different views. Okay. Some people think using mobile phones is good. Some people think using books is good. Two different views, not contrasting necessarily, but two different views. And tell which, some people think that mobile phones is good. Some people think that books are good. Which do you think is the good way to learn? Okay. So it is asking you to take one side, but it is also asking you to discuss these two views neutrally, to tell why mobile phones are good, one, and tell two, why hardbound books are good to study. Sorry, hardbound books are good to study. So you may have to elaborate these two in two different body paragraphs, along with a clearly stated opinion in the introduction as to which side you are going to take. Okay, and then the conclusion will again have why you're taking that side. Is that clear? Again, clear? One paragraph stating why you like mobile phones for learning, one paragraph for stating why you like books for learning. Introduction should have the opinion clearly stated, and then comes the conclusion telling why. Okay, let's say you like mobile phones for learning. Why do you like them? That should be there in the conclusion. Is that clear? Again, all of you. It's very similar to the second type of essay that we discussed. Okay. Now, why am I telling you these things? Why am I talking about these structures? Is that people miss out on the small nuances. We have to mention, yes, correct, Arup. So in both these paragraphs, you have to mention reason why you are supporting them neutrally. That has to be there. But at the end, in the conclusion, you have to make it clear which side you take and why. You can also do that in the body paragraphs, like I mentioned here, but I'm just making things simple for you, which is why I said it's okay if you just mention in the conclusion as to which side you support and why. Okay, Arup, for the simplicity of this discussion, let's push as to which side you support to the conclusion. Before, yes, in the introduction, you're saying which side you are supporting. In the conclusion, you're saying why you're supporting that. So in the introduction, you may say, I think mobile phones are good for studying. In the conclusion, you may say, I think mobile phones are good because of the ease of use, because of ease of holding than holding a book. Okay, it can be anything. I mean, the argument can be anything, but the argument should come in the conclusion. That's what I meant. Right, Arup, is that clear? Have I answered your question? Good, very good. So next, whatever essay types you see here, cause and effect essay or any other essay types that you see, what are the causes for this? What are the solutions to this? What are the effects of this? The question can be anything. Remember, when you see any other essay type with two question prompts, what do I mean by question prompts now? Statement is students face a lot of health issues today because of mobile phones. That's statement. Prompts, discuss causes, discuss solution. Okay, so that is a prompt. Causes is a prompt, solution is a prompt. So you put causes and you put solutions separately in two different body paragraphs. That's it. Okay, but remember, always remember, this should be your order. Whenever you start writing a body paragraph, think why you're writing it. All of these discussions that we had until now, that's your reason for writing a body paragraph, right? So you might be writing causes, you might be writing the reason you agree to an idea, you might be writing an advantage, you might be writing reason why it is a good thing, you might be writing a reason why a certain view, you are supporting a certain view, anything. Remember to start with that reason and support it with explanation and example. One example is more than enough. One idea, one central idea should be there in the paragraph. If the question says benefits, causes, effects, then you should write more than one central idea. But if it's just one reason that you're going to write, it's always good if you just write one central idea and make it clear why you agree or why you disagree, or why you support a certain side or no. Is that clear now? Yes, Arup, when they say causes and effects, when they say benefits and drawbacks, you have to mention at least two. That has to be there. Okay, is this clear now? Yes, all of you. I hope Gurleen, Shiva, Tavinder is clear. Okay, wonderful. Now, moving ahead to the point where, moving ahead in the class, I'm going to keep this simple. I'm not going to talk in detail about these band descriptors because they're in itself a separate discussion. I'm not going to talk in detail, but I'm going to tell you the problems that can arise and why so many people have troubles with writing. Okay. The reason is this: whatever I told you until now, that's the reason. No, most people don't understand that the essay structure is the crux. What examiners do is look for these pointers. Have you paraphrased the sentence right? Have you given your opinion? Have you given the main idea in the beginning of a paragraph, of a body paragraph? Have you given one example at least to suggest why you think so? Is your conclusion the same as your body paragraph? These are things that people see just at a glance, and then they score you on these 4 criteria. Okay, let me just quickly explain these 4 criteria, and let me explain some problems that arise which can cost your score, which can maybe bring down your score to a 6 or a 6.5 or sometimes even 5. Okay, let's rule out the problems with language first. If you are someone, okay, with basic issues like not being able to speak in English, not being able to frame big sentences in the language, not being able to understand the rules of grammar, if you're someone like that, you have to give yourself that time before you take your exam, the next, before you take your exam or schedule your exam even. So that's like a given. So people assume, I mean, whenever you book an exam date, it's assumed that you already are clear with your fundamentals of the language, which is vocabulary and grammar. There is no shortcut there. Remember, nobody will promise you that they will give you your score if you join them. It cannot happen if you are a basic learner. So remove this factor altogether by learning grammar, by focusing on improving your language skill. There is no shortcut to this. Okay. And if you are here, you've been following our content, you've heard this, I know, million times probably, right? Okay. Now, next, coming to these 2 factors, which is task response and achievement and coherence and cohesion. Like I said, the examiners are very quick in analyzing your faults. So very quick mistakes that people make here in task response and achievement. This is basically answering the question and detailing your idea. That's all. Answer the question and detail whatever ideas you write. That's the requirement here. In this, answer your question in an organized way. Write in paragraphs. Make sure your sentences have a certain sequence. That's all. That's all they want here. This looks easy on paper, right? Easy to understand. Who cares about task response and achievement? You understood that is just answering the question. Here it's just writing in paragraphs, writing in a certain sequence. Easy to understand, no problem at all, right? You're clear with this? Yeah. Kirtika is here. Hi, Kirtika. Shiva. Yes, Vasu. Easy to understand. Task response means you have to meet the requirements, detail your answers with proper examples. Coherence and cohesion means write in paragraphs, write sentences in proper sequence. That's it. Okay, not very difficult to implement. But what happens in reality? What does organizing convey? Means separating your body paragraphs, or whatever we saw here. Separating your body paragraphs into benefits, drawbacks, into reason 1, reason 2. That is organizing ideas in paragraphs. And what I said about idea, explanation, that is sequencing of sentences. That's what they look out for. So let me quickly tell you the mistakes that happen that can cost you in these band descriptors. I'm not going to talk about language here. Vocabulary and grammar, I'm assuming that you are already at a level of 6 or a 7. Okay, but in coherence, how to be confident even just, yeah, I'm coming to that, Kirtika. I'm kind of answering that question right now. Now, let's first address task response and achievement. Now, remember, one mistake, major mistake that students make is not writing the answer clearly in the introduction. You may think this is a small problem, but a lot of students still make that mistake and they lose their score. So it becomes a 5 if you don't include your answer, opinion, or give an answer to the question in the introduction. That is one mistake. Second mistake in the area of task response and achievement, not writing your body paragraphs clearly. Whether when you agree to a certain viewpoint, you have to state 2 reasons why you agree to that or why you disagree to that. That has to be clear in the body paragraphs. That reason has to come out clearly. If the examiner does not understand that as to what this reason is, it's a problem. Then your score will come down to a 6. If your explanation is not there, your reason is there. You said why you agree to it. You don't give an explanation. There is no example. Again, a 6. You don't write the conclusion altogether. Also a problem. Write a conclusion that is matching with your 2 body paragraphs. Same ideas, nothing new is coming up. That is how you reach a 7. All these mistakes you address, you are a 7 automatically in this area. Is this clear? Kirtika, I'm coming to the point of coherence now, but is this clear to all the others, including Kirtika? Yes? Okay. Okay. Very good. Shiva, are you clear? Are you still there? Yes, he's still there. Wonderful. Let's move ahead. Now, this is the issue. The problem that arises here is you guys think that using connecting words is going to get me a 7. You do everything else fine. You paraphrase, give an opinion, and then you start a body paragraph, write a main idea, you explain the main idea with an example that not necessarily is good, is the best one, but you still do a good job there. And then your conclusion is also fine. Your second body paragraph is also okay. The explanation may not be relevant or may not be correct, but it is still okay. But what you do sometimes here is overuse of these connecting words, like firstly, you use secondly, you use in recapitulation, or sometimes you write to substantiate, or you memorize these connecting words that are supposed to come at the beginning of sentences or paragraphs, and you put them there. There is no problem in memorizing and using them. The problem arises with the mismatch between your level of the language and these connecting words. So when you say to substantiate, it is not a common word. It is a less common word. And your language in the paragraph looks as if you don't know the words at the level of substantiate, but you're trying to use this to substantiate somehow because you want to impress the examiner. That's the problem. This is at least okay. Some people use idioms. Some people think about using connecting words at the beginning of every sentence. Like this means that, or in other words, or however, although, all of these things they just use at the beginning of every sentence, and it kind of brings down the meaning of that sentence. So the main problem as to why students lose their score to a 6.5 could be your cohesion. Do not use these connecting words just because you need a 7. Use them when you need them. When and if you need them, do not use them otherwise. Is this point clear? Yeah? Everyone? So if you see an essay that has these words, okay, at every sentence, every single sentence of the essay, you can then rate that essay as a 6 in the area of coherence and cohesion without a doubt. You don't have to think twice about scoring that essay 6. That's what I do. In fact, at some point, I scored a student 5 because it was just too difficult for me as to why he was using however at the beginning of every sentence. I'm not kidding. This is true. This is a true story. Otherwise, the language of the student was great. But imagine using connecting words for every sentence out there is annoying for the examiner to see. About coherence now, what happens? This is genuinely a problem of self-control. Okay, so I'm not really addressing this and saying that students have this problem. Sometimes people like us, even the trainers, may have this. It's a human tendency to write things that come to your mind. You don't really realize that you're being scored for the sequence of sentences that you establish. So always remember, before you start a body paragraph, think why you're writing it. Your main idea should be the first sentence, always. Let's go back to the example of using mobile phones and creating health issues. So when I said back posture issues are an issue, you have to include that in the first sentence. Mobile phones are bad for students' health because they cause posture issues with a lot of students. That's going to be my first sentence. My first sentence in the second body paragraph. Mobile phones are a health hazard because mobile phones are not great for, not a good benefit, do not add any benefit to the student because of the issue that they don't aid in communication. I'm giving these reasons very clearly in the beginning of the body paragraph. That has to happen. And then you give the explanation. Then you give the example. This is how you write your sentences. Okay, no, do not use that sentence. Kirtika is just too redundant. It is not going to affect your coherence score. It's going to affect your vocabulary score because these words are unnecessary. It looks like you've just added them because you want to add them. Okay, yeah, but sometimes it does affect your coherence score if it does not make sense. To add a certain sentence, the sentence does not add value, it affects your coherence score. So always remember the order of your sentences: main idea, explanation or example, and further explanation to that example. This is how your order is going to be. Is that clear? Yes. And if you guys think are worrying about how I'm going to remember all of this, I'm going to give you this recording. I will upload it on my YouTube channel as well. Okay, so don't worry. Yeah, is that clear? Please remember order of sentences, connecting words, don't mess them up. Yes, very good. Others, Vasu and Shiva and whoever has joined just now, Dolly, Arup, are you clear? Yeah, very good. Very good. So quick summary of what we saw: band descriptors, mistakes to avoid, apart from the reel that I just did today. Make sure your opinion is there in the introduction. Your 2 reasons or whatever ideas that you write in your body paragraphs are clear, okay, in the body paragraphs. And you write them in proper sequence without using these fancy connectors that you see everywhere on the internet. The internet has just become a crazy place for preparing for IELTS. No unnecessary connecting words. Write relevant examples, avoid examples that have research conducted by someone else. That can't be your example. Example that you see or you have observed is your example. Okay, something that you actually saw or actually observed as a trend is something that you can write. All right. Now, explanation to that example is also necessary. For example, you saw a lot of students in Bangalore facing the issue of communication because, and you interviewed a group of students and you found that only a few students had communication, good communication skills, the other had bad ones. That can be a good example. Or you figured out that your peers do not have good communication skill. They attended an interview and then they failed that interview. That can be a good example to write. That's what I mean by examples. These are examples that actually suggest or actually explain or actually support the idea that you write. Okay, that's what I mean by relevant ideas, right? And then, of course, conclusion, start with a connecting word, but don't overdo it. Don't go for the overkill. Just say in summary, to summarize, to in conclusion. All these are good enough for you to reach a 7. Someone asked me how to reach a 7. This is also a way. Just be regular with connecting words, right? So, and then the conclusion should always have ideas that you have written in your body paragraph. That's about it. All right. So these are some pointers, but of course, most important, improve your writing skill, improve your grammar. Without this, you cannot expect yourself to reach a band 7. All right. So is that clear to all of you? This is what I talked about. Anyway, yes. Okay, Arup is clear. Dolly, I came in very late, but I'm still asking you this question. Are you clear? Kritika, are you clear? Shiva and Vasu, are you guys clear?